Thank you for joining. I got my client Mark here with us today. Mark, I really appreciate you coming on. It really means a ton for you, especially for you to take some time out of your day to help me out. It truly means a lot. So thank you. I appreciate it, Mark.
Glad to.
Awesome. So yeah, I recently helped Mark sell his rental properties over here in Chesapeake and as well Norfolk. So we, a couple of things that I want to go over is essentially how your experience was, right, Mark? So if you can give me a good idea of what your experience was previously when buying or selling, through other agents.
Yeah, glad to, Tane. I think the critical factor for folks to understand is that we bought into the market back in the bubble era, if you will.
Yeah.
And that the investment property promises were that, you buy now and you can sell it later at a phenomenal price, but why sell it if you can continue to make, return on that investment year over year? Well, the reality is that property management is difficult. We tried to do it by ourselves. We've been rental investors for 15 years. And for a long time, it was exactly that. It was profitable. It was self-maintaining. But there's always the challenge of the human interaction. So you really have to understand that this is not a business for the weak of mind, weak of heart. You have to be available 7/24 if you're going to manage it yourself. And if not, you really need to find investment property managers that have been there, done that, and have the ability and the backing in the back office to help out with all aspects of it: maintenance, support, repair, leases, et cetera. So when we decided to sell about 5 years ago, the challenge was that the market was not really supportive of getting out of this with at least par value, if not taking a little bit of cash home. So a lot of the real estate agents were giving us a very difficult decision to make: keep holding on to the properties or sell it at a loss. And that was just not in the cards.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. A lot of the times, especially when people get into the business of being a landlord, unfortunately, they essentially what you're talking about, all the stuff that comes with it, the human interaction, but on top of it, the financial part. A lot of people, unfortunately, forget to set aside, especially money for any work that needs to get done around the house, right? So, and as well, vacancy. So luckily, at least you guys, I know you didn't run into any of that situation, luckily, but the downside that you ran into was the actual sale process where it's the situation you were put in: either cash out, sell it and lose some money on it, or just, keep it. But, and yeah, I mean, you guys had tried selling the property, through Howard Hanna, I think a couple of times. And I don't know if it was, if it was just timing or whatnot. But can you give me a little better idea of, how that experience was? Like how, in regards to communication and whatnot, how that went?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it was a very different time pre-COVID. But at the same time, the experience we had was really based upon legacy methodologies for real estate sales. So it was a lot of print material, a lot of people coming to the properties to visit them in person, with a very minimal digital marketing plan. Because that's just not the way you did things in the good old days, if you will.
Yeah.
So the struggle was really around having to be physically available, having to communicate back and forth with the real estate agent on every single thing, including we did have a couple of offers that came through, but of course they were significantly lower. And to be truthful, we were really at a point where we thought about accepting those. And I'm not suggesting that our other agent was trying to pressure us into taking those contracts, but it was just a lose-lose scenario. So while the relationship with Howard Hanna has been very good, especially from the property management side, the real estate sales process was very antiquated.
Gotcha. Okay. And then what made you guys really want, because you guys have, owned these properties for so long, what made you guys really decide to sell, this time around? Is it just a matter of, you've done it for so long and just wanted to get out of it, more of a retirement for you and the missus, essentially?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, Tane. We're really looking at, my slogan is simplify our lives.
Yeah.
And so the reality is that being an investment property owner is just not simple,
Yeah.
especially when you start looking at your tax returns. My gosh, what an effort that is. So we're really looking at, what does the future 5, 10, 15 years look like? And we just didn't see ourselves being property managers. It's phenomenal if you have the knack for it, if you have the risk aggressiveness that you're interested in, or if you're risk assertive, then go for it. But if you're risk averse, then it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But so we really just got to a point where it was just time to sell and look at our plannings for our retirement.
Yeah. It was definitely good timing too for you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, that worked out for everybody. And what made you guys, decide to hire me over other realtors? Like, did you interview other agents at all when we first started chatting?
We had a few conversations with friends of ours who happened to be real estate agents. Excuse me, that's the doorbell. But what we did really find was that most of them were still following the old boilerplate methods of advertising, selling, putting it in the MLS, and doing open houses, which just doesn't work well when you're talking about rental investment properties.
Yeah.
So we honestly had pretty much given up for months until we got a phone call from one of your assistants who said, "Hey, we noticed you were trying to sell your property in the past. Would you be interested in selling again?" So you can imagine with all of the robocalls and the phishing scams and stuff, the first thing that went through our mind was, one, how did they know this? And two, why are they calling me? And three, why did I pick up the phone from an unknown phone number?
Yeah.
But that was the beginning of our journey together, Tane.
Okay, awesome. And what would you say you liked and appreciate most, about working with me?
I'll be honest with you, I've never seen somebody with the work ethic you have. Trying to figure the words out. The reality is that there's so much work involved with creating a digital advertising campaign, assessing the property, making sure that your comps come back accurate, making sure that your customer is involved but not overwhelmed. And you strike a really good balance between keeping us updated, letting us know the challenges, but more importantly, that you've got it.
Yeah.
We never had to worry about the gotchas or the concerns. It was really, I've got this. Don't worry about it. I'm your agent. I've got your best interest at heart.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think a lot of things that most agents overlook too when working with rental properties, that this is actually a good thing brought up. So like from working with the tenants, a lot of their experience from, past sales and whatnot was just the scheduling wise kept so hectic. And at the same time, they felt like they weren't getting anything back in return. So one of the things I've been doing to get creative with tenant situations, like I told you, is I would give them gift cards. And I'll try to make the scheduling as less hectic as possible. So black out a time frame where we could essentially get showings done. But on top of it, another thing we were able to do was, the 3D tour helped a ton too, because it weeded out a lot of people that weren't serious, because what tends to happen, the old school ways, like you would say, is the buyers would go there, come to find out they don't really like the property. And there goes your tenants that, unfortunately felt like they got their time wasted. So that 3D tour eliminated a lot of people that weren't serious, and only the serious buyers were going out, going over there. So that definitely helped a ton too.
It did. The fact is that you really have to balance the needs of your tenants with the needs of the owner.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to use the digital technology that, quite honestly, it's not new. It's been out there for a while. Yeah. But again, the legacy real estate agents out there don't capitalize on it.
Yeah. It's definitely, it helps so much. So I'm glad it's around. And what would you say, Mark, that, someone that's considering to hire me, because a lot of the times in our industry, I'm not saying everybody's like this, but most homeowners have had a bad experience with agents, especially from initial phone calls when you first struggled selling, right? So what would you say someone that's considering hiring me, but they're just on the fence because they're like, hey, I don't want to get burnt again, whatever the case is, right? And a lot of, really essentially at the end of the day, this is one of the reasons why I do these videos as well, so people can understand that it's not just them that's out there that's, you know, in that situation. Because it can feel overwhelming at times, especially if you struggle selling before in the past.
It can, because a lot of times I can't remember what the form is that you use that shows, you know, if you accept this offer, this is what you're going to come away with.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the bottom line is that it's more than just that sheet. It's what has your agent done to make sure that that offer comes in reasonable? And if it doesn't, present it to your customer as, this is what I would suggest we do. And here are 3 scenarios in which we could either rebut or accept. And this is what you're going to come away with. So I really think that from a financial perspective, you really bring a lot of the hardcore evidence that investors really want to see. Yep. What's my bottom line? What's my return on this? What is your commission going to be? And you work with your customers to make sure that there's a win-win here. You're not in this to do this for free because it's fun. Yeah. So hiring a professional like you, Tane, is critical to getting the maximum return on that value.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. I think you've hit the nail on the head, covered pretty much everything. Again, I really appreciate you guys trusting me with the sale of the home. It means a ton to me. I know you guys had a lot of energy put into all the properties that you had. And again, I appreciate you coming on as well, taking your time out of the day, on a Saturday, to help me out. So, I appreciate it, Mark. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Anybody has questions, let me know. I'll be more than happy to help out. But good job. Thanks for all your help.
No problem, sir. Hope you have a great weekend. Take care.
Thanks, you too.